shipwrecks, castaways, mutiny, presumed dead. If these all sound like elements to a story that you'd be interested in, stay tuned. More stories about shipwrecks that you need to read. The Big Book of 2023, The Wager. The records of the events came from a 16-year-old named John Byron. Does Byron sound familiar? He is the grandfather of Lord Byron, so I guess that's a bit of a spoiler that he survives. Throughout the novel, we see little pieces. The poet, Lord Byron, drew lots of inspiration from his father's times at sea. He calls it his grandfather's narrative. Many poems show reference to the sea, including his famous poem, Don Juan. The poem goes on about the awful whispering that came about between the castaways, wondering if they should sacrifice some of their own so that the whole group can survive. Next up, we have what would probably be a pretty obvious one for everyone is Herman Melville. Herman Melville's book, Moby is greatly inspired by the tales of the sea. The author of The Wager here listened to the audiobook of Moby Dick while on a journey to Wager Island. Herman Melville drew inspiration from both fish and his own journey around the Cape Horn. The next author I want to talk about is Daniel Defoe. Now, this is a bit of a twist. He wasn't inspired by the events of The Wager. In fact, his novel, Robinson Crusoe, came out before the events of the shipwreck. And because most of the men were familiar with the story, they used that as inspiration and kept them hopeful that they would survive. Robinson Crusoe survived, maybe they can too. About 100 years after the events of The Wager, Charles Darwin went on his own adventure around South America and through Chile. The shipwreck occurred only a few generations before, and it was a cautionary tale for many of those at sea. His own voyage started out to be a 2-year excursion and ended up being 5 years. His own voyage was planned for 2 years and ended up being 5 years, much like some of those that were castaways on the voyage. This is the same as some of the survivors of The Wager. Their voyage started out to be a short 1 to 2 year voyage and ended up being 5 years. Darwin wrote about his experience around the Cape Horn in South America, wrote about his experiences around Cape Horn in the piece Voyage of the Beagle. That wraps up our talk about literature inspired by The Wager and the shipwreck of the 18th century. Thank you much for watching. If you like this, hit the like and subscribe. Talk soon.